Will the Chicago Bears be any better than a 7-win football team and a fourth-place finisher in the NFC North? According to the sports books, that's probably the case at because the NFC North looks like a pretty good division this season, with the Lions and Vikings obviously improved from last season, whereas the Green Bay Packers are obviously still the big favorite. But last season, the Chicago Bears really let down their fans and the NFL hopefuls that thought they were going to be one of the best teams, best offensive teams in the entire NFL. And a good article by Matthew Jordan here up on sportsbookreview.com looking at that in depth. But of course, the Bears finished at 5-11 last season, and it doesn't look like they're going to be much better than that this season. Of course, Jay Cutler threw for 28 touchdowns last season, but only 3,800 yards and 18 interceptions, and he was typically his old self, as really his performance was the reason that they let go of Mark Trestman and the old staff. Phil Emery also out as GM. Brought in a completely new coaching staff with John Fox and Gase as the offensive coordinator. But this should be an improved football team from last year's 5-win team. However, question mark still on the defensive side of the football, as they were absolutely horrendous in that area here. They brought in some big-name free agents. Lamar Houston and Jared Allen were supposed to bring some depth to this team defensively, but Bears still gave up 27 points per game. They were 23rd in points scored as well. So Chicago really let down a lot of people other than Matt Forte, who really had a pretty good season, which Matthew goes into a little bit more in depth than last season. But after bringing in John Fox, this team should be a little bit better. But I don't see them. I completely agree with him. And I don't see them finishing any better than fourth in the NFC North, and probably no better than a 7 or 8 win football team, unfortunately. And that's coming from a guy who's normally a pretty big Chicago fan here. And big reason why is, even though their strength of schedule is not that bad, I still think it's going to be pretty tough for this team to get out of the NFC North and get back into playoffs. And the NFL odds for that to get back in the playoffs pretty valuable here. They are plus 600 to get into the playoffs, but doubt that anybody's going to be betting that on them here this season. But they are plus 120 to finish fourth in the NFC North this season, plus 175 to beat out the Minnesota Vikings for third place. However, I'm a pretty big Teddy Bridgewater fan. I think the Vikings have done well enough on both sides of the football to really get above the Chicago Bears this season. Even if they finish in a tie, I think Minnesota's had pretty good success against Chicago in head-to-head matchups, so likely not going to be any better than a fourth-place finish here for the Chicago Bears. I completely agree with Matthew's assessment that plus 120 on the Chicago Bears future odds to finish last in the NFC North is a pretty good play here this offseason as we head into training camp, just a little less than a week away. But that'll do it for me this time. Make sure you just check out some of our other NFL content coming out all throughout next week heading into training camp. But until next time, for SBR Forum videos, I'm Jordan Sharp.